Ohio. Yerevan, the capital and the largest city of Armenia, the largest industrial and economic center of the state. One of the most ancient cities of the world. It is located in the Ararat Valley and also on the volcanic plateau to the north from it, on the left riverbank arcs. The population makes 1,075.1 thousand people. For July 1, 2017. The square of the city minus 223 km. Yerevan is political, economic, cultural and scientific center and also the most important transport hub of Armenia. In the city there are two airports, the railway station and the subway. Height above sea level, from 900 to 1300 m. Historically Ararat, the Armenian imperial domain where almost all capitals of ancient and medieval Armenia were located, was the main town of Gavar-Kote Kavanaship. In 19 came to the west from the center of Yerevan there is Akhmyatsin, the main spiritual center of all Armenians, founded at the beginning of the 4th century at.
Its city almost became deserted as a result of a great Shogun of 1603-1605 when, according to the indication of the Persian Shah Abbas, to around 350,000 residents of the Ararat region, including, by different estimates, from 250,000 to 300,000 ethnic Armenians, were stolen. Later the city was completely destroyed as a result of the strongest earthquake of 1679, but was newly built up and populated. In much smaller scales. In the 1690th years. Yerevan got new life only after 1828 when was a part of the Russian Empire. For years of the Soviet power the image of Yerevan was reversed as a result of large-scale town planning works. The first master plan of 1924, the architect A. 1. Tamanian. Also minus 1970, architects Doctor of Medicine. Nazmanian E. A. Papin, etc. A peculiar color gave to the capital of Armenia the local stone of various shades which is widely used in construction, pink, cream, white tufa. It is for the first time mentioned in cuneiform texts of the 8th century BB as the Urarsky fortress of Erebuni. The name is considered formed from an ethnonym of Eri, Ariaka, treating nationality or the breeding union. After accession of East Armenia to Russia in 1828 until 1936 the city officially was called Yerevan. In 1936 as official the Yerevan form closer to modern local pronunciation is taken. Yerevan is in a northeast part of the Ararat plain located in the central part of the Armenian highlands. The plateau on which Yerevan is located from three parties is bordered with mountains. In the northwest there is Mount Aragats, in the north, the Konakarsky Plateau, and in the east, Gagamsky Mountains. To the south the Yerevan Hollow goes down to the valley of the Araks River, behind which the massive big and smaller Aratov towers. The relief of Yerevan differs in a big variety. Fluctuations of heights in his line reach 400 meters. Through the city in the picturesque gorge, the Hrazdan River flows. Features of a relief, climate, studying of a windrows on this plateau formed the basis of the first master plan of Yerevan created by the Academician of Architecture Tamanian in 1924.
According to this plan, Yerevan was conceived as the city with the radial and ring planning of the center, keeping historically developed directions of highways and considerable historical and cultural monuments. All subsequent master plans and projects of building of Yerevan generally continued to
Manyan's ideas. Yerevan is located in two landscape zones. Semi-desertic and desert prevails at the height of 850-1000 m. Dry steppe it is above. Annual average air temperature is 11.8 C, summer of +25 C in the winter.
4-5 C, absolute maximum of +42 C, absolute minimum
31 C. Annual sunshine reaches on average 2700 hours. The period without frosts lasts 224 days. Relative air humidity is from 44-45% in the summer up to 70-80% in the winter. The summer season lasts more than 4 months with dry and hot weather. Average air temperature in August of 22-26 C. Peak temperature is equal to 41.4 C. The winds blowing in the summer become stronger in the second half of day, reaching sometimes 15-20 m/s. The winter is moderately cold. Constant snow cover is formed not every year. Average temperature in January 4-6 C. The smallest temperature 31 C. Spring short with unstable weather.
Fall's peculiar soft, sunny and windless weather.
The average annual volume of an atmospheric precipitation are 250-370. The maximum of rainfall drops out in May. Year of foundation of Yerevan 782 BB. When the Tsar of Urartu Ergishi founded the fortified city of Erebuni, here is considered. It is known that for foundation of the city in 782 BC, the Tsar Ergishi brought 6,600 prisoners from areas here want also Tsupani, the western areas of the Armenian highlands. The name is considered formed from an ethnonym of Eri, Ariaka, treating nationality or the breeding union.
Erebuni was on the southern outskirts of modern Yerevan, though there are no data indicating existence of the significant settlement on the location of the city during the period from 4th century BB to the 3rd century AD.
According to the petroglyphic cuneiform chronicle in Vanya, the Uratsky Tsar Ergishi on the 5th year of the reign built the city of Erebuni.
The inscription on a stone plate found in 1950 on Hill Ehrenberg allowed to identify this ancient settlement with Erebuni.
The inscription says, "Greatness of God Haldi Ergishi, the son Menua, constructed this powerful fortress. I established her name to Erebuni for power of the country of Biani and for intimidation of the enemy country. The earth was desert, I made mighty affairs here."
Century later, the administrative and political center of area moved to Tashibani's fortress founded by the Tsar Russo of Tu on the southwest outskirts of modern Yerevan.
However, Tashibani was beaten, probably, by Scythians in the years of fall of Urartu. The 590th BB.
Erebuni continued the existence and during the Persian era.
There, for example, the Miletsky coins which are wrapped out about 478 BB are found. Probably, then in Armenian his name began to be said as Erebuni, with transition B greater than V.
There is an unconfirmed hypothesis that Yerevan was the center of the Persian satrapy of Armenia.
From the 4th century BB till the 3rd century AD, archaeological sites are practically absent. The mention of Yerevan and the Manichaean and Christian communities existing in him is seen in one Sud-Manichaean text of the 3rd century, from which appears that one of Mania's pupils based the Manichaean community, along with Christian there. According to an inscription, an estimated Yerevan certain master ruled that he, according to researchers, means existence there fortresses at the head of which there was a local governor. In the 5th century, the most ancient of the Yerevan churches, Church of Apostles Piet and Pavel, was constructed. Petros Pogos. It is demolished in 1931. The settlement was in Gavar County of Kotek of the Araratsky province of Great Armenia, in 20 kilometers from her political and spiritual capital of Vagashapat. Etmiatsin. Translation of an inscription. Greatness of God Haldi Gishi, the son Menua, constructed this powerful fortress. I established her name to Yerevan for power of the country of Vanna and for intimidation of the enemy country. The earth was desert, I made mighty affairs here. To the Hut and Suponi I lodged 6,600 soldiers of the countries there. Greatness of God Haldi Gishi, son Menua, Tsar powerful, Tsar of the country of Vanna, governor of the city of Tushpai. The Armenian legends build the basis of Yerevan to Aik, bringing the name of the city out of exclamation. Aravats. She appeared. Allegedly made Aik wind from underwater, the top of small Ararat seemed. The traveler of the 17th century Jean Chardin writes. Yerevan, according to Armenians, the most ancient settlement in the world. As they claim that Aik and all his family located to the flood here, and after it he climbed down a mountain on which there was an ark. It is considered an example of so-called national etymology. At the end of the 19th century, the Azerbaijani option of national etymology, making the name Yerevan from the words Yerevan, is recorded. Flows. Its main chapel. It is constructed in 1080-1210. It is destroyed in 1679, during the Yerevan earthquake, restored in 1690.
The earliest mention of the city in Armenian in the Book of Letters belongs to 607, when a certain Daniel from Yerevan is mentioned in number of the Armenian churchmen who remained faithful to decisions of the Chalcedonian Cathedral. Yerevan was one of settlements on a zone of the Persian-Byzantine wars in Armenia in the 7th century, is mentioned in connection with the Arab gain. In August of 650 G he was besieged by Arabs, but unsuccessfully.
Came, gathered at Yerevan, fought with fortress, but couldn't take it. 661 years AD. The city got under the power of Arabs in 658. In 660 there was the anti-Arab revolt. With falling of the Arab power and restoration of the Armenian statehood, the city was a part of the Aniski kingdom Bagratadov. In 1047 the city was besieged and weakened Byzantine two forces, then the Seljuks who occupied it in several years used. At a turn of the 12th-13th centuries joined Armenian-Georgian forces, relying on support of the Armenian population, exempted all north of Armenia where possession of the Armenian princes, vassal from the Georgian kingdom, Zakharinav were formed from the Seljuks. In the first decades of the 13th century, Yerevan, among other cities and areas in the northeast of Armenia, was under management to Ivana Zakariana and his son Avaga. In the 14th century, the population of the city made, apparently, 20,000 people. However, in 1387 Yerevan was destroyed by the Mongolian troops, about what colophons of disasters. Mongols who occupied the city are described in the book by Grigor Hletetsi. 1349-1425. Minted here the coins on which the name of the city was displayed. The power was taken away from Mongols by hordes of Turkoman, Karakoyunlu and Akkoyunlu, during whom Yerevan was the important cultural center. According to Brockhaus and Efron's Encyclopedic Dictionary, the city till 1441 was under the power of Armenians. Serbhovhanis Murtic Church in Konda, it is founded in 670, destroyed during the Yerevan earthquake of 1679, restored in 1680-1710. Saravar Church, it is based in the 9th century, reconstructed in 1632-1635, destroyed during an earthquake of 1679 and restored in 1693. Serb-Givort Church, 945-953 years of construction. It is destroyed in 1679 during the Yerevan earthquake, restored in 1694. In the 16th-17th centuries, Yerevan,
as well as all region, served as the arena of the devastating Osmano-Safavidski wars, which had a serious impact on region demography.
The Armenian population was considerably reduced as a result of wars and deportations.
During the same period to the region nomads, Turkic peoples and Kurds whom local governors used for separation and weakening of local settled population moved into.
So, according to Abbaskuliaga, Bakikanova, the Shah Ismail moved from Iraq. The tribe Bayat a part in Yerevan, and a part in Derbind and Shabran to strengthen local governors. The German traveler Adam O'Leary, 1599-1671, wrote that Yerevan's inhabitants, except Own, Armenian, taught the children to Turkic language. The same occurred in Shirvan, Azerbaijan, Atrapatan Oblast in Iran, Iraq and Baghdad. During fight between the Ottoman Empire and Safavid army, Yerevan of 14 times passed from hand to hand. At the beginning of the 16th century, the city took the Shah Ismail Safavi. In 1554, the 200,000 Ottoman Turkish army took and ruined Yerevan, at the same time having cut out a large number of the population.
In 1580 the city was taken by army of the Ottoman Vizier Lala Mustafa Pasha, who destroyed Yerevan and took prisoner Christians and Muslims.
His successor on the commander's post, the Pasha Fakat, in 1582 constructed new fortress in the city. Fortress had almost square form in the plan, length of 850 m, width of 790 m, from three parties, is enclosed with a double wall, and only from west side, to the steep coast of the Hrazdan River the wall was single. Fortress was supplied with 3 gate. Tabbers on the south, Maiden on the area which was in front of them. Also Yela's gate on the north, and pavements towards the river. In front of Maiden Gate there was a big suburb, the so-called Old City. Red bridge through the river, to which removed bridge gate, was constructed in 1679. He was covered with ketchigals, strengthening constructed on the eminence. In the Yerevan region in the 16th century, parts of Kızılbaşlı tribes to an Ustadzal were lodged. Alpnut and Bayat, at the Shahbasai were lodged also to an Akçakoy in the Kajer. Even earlier here the Kurdish tribes, to Nasıl and Pazuki were approved. Only in Erivani, Kanya and Karabakh 50000 Kadzharski families which during time were even more increased lodged. In 1604 fortress was taken by the Shahbasai. The Portuguese author of that era Antonio de Gouveia wrote,
Shah ordered to take Yerevan, who is completely inhabited by Armenians, the land cultivated and fruitful.
However, in the face of the Turkish counterattack to which he didn't consider himself to resist in forces Abbas at the end of the same 1604, according to the Armenian historian of the 17th century Irakli Davrazutsi, ordered to move all residents of Armenia, both Christians and Jews, and Mohammedans, to Persia. That Ottomans, having come, would find the country become deserted. Withdrawal of the population of Erivani was charged to Amagunahanu. The Persian troops sent to move the people, having lifted, expelled it from villages and the cities, set fire and ruthlessly burned all settlements, houses and dwellings. Persians, however, managed to secure East Armenia and, according to Gove, during in continuous time the city was restored and again is populated, but this time Mohammedans, but not Christians Armenians whom the Tsar moved deep into Persia. In 1635 Yerevan was again captured by Turks, but several months later after a long siege is beaten off by Persians.
Under Turkish-Persian peace agreement in 1639 the city finally was a part of Persia.
With crash of the Safavisti Empire Yerevan it was again taken by Turks. 1724.
In the Safavisti state Yerevan was the center of the Chukarsadsky Beglerbekstvo, which governor carried Sardar's title, since 1747 the Khan.
Often was called Beglerbekstvo not only by the name of the cities, but also Chukarsad. The area Sad, by name Turkic tribes to a Sadal which many representatives edited and occupied administrative posts in a Beglerbekstvo. In the Yerevansky Khanate and its capital Muslims, Persians, Azerbaijanians and Kurds. The period from 1680 to 1795, made 53%, and during 1795, 1828 80% of the population, Armenians, respectively -47%. 1680, 1795. And 20%. 1795, 1828. Also lived in the basic and Erivanian villages. Armenians dominated in craft, trade and agriculture of area and were of great importance for the Persian administration. The sort of Melik Agamalinov was direct heads of Armenians of Erivani. Maliki had full administrative and judicial authority over local Armenians, except for the rights to sentence to death, which only Sardar had. Muslims in large part led a nomadic life. The city was divided into 3 quarters. Waved. The Armenian quarter was called Kant. He lay in a northwest part of the city and in him 4 oldest Armenian churches of the city were located. All them there were. In the same place there was a luxurious, surrounded with a garden palace of Melik Agamalinov.
Avliya Chalabi counted in the city of 2060 of the houses covered by clay.
By the time of the Russian gain, 1827. In the city there were modern houses, 850 benches, 9 mosques, 7 churches, 10 baths, 7 big caravanserai, 5 areas, maidans, 2 markets and 2 schools. As a result of wars by 1804, Yerevani's population was reduced to 6,000 inhabitants, but by 1827 the population of the city made already more than 20,000 people. Yerevan is a part of the Russian Empire. Captured by the Russian troops of Yerevansky fortress, following the results of the Russian-Persian War. I am 10. F. Rubo. 1893, it is written on imagination, 66 years later after this event. During the Russian-Persian War. 1804-1813. Yerevansky fortress was twice unsuccessfully besieged by Russians. In 1804 Sitsionov and in 1808 Gudovich. 1 on October 13. 1827 Yerevan was taken by F. Poskvish's troops, who received for it a title of Count of Yerevansky. Next year, under the terms of the Turkmenchesky world, the Yerevansky Khanate was a part of the Russian Empire. The royal decree of March 21. On April 1828 in the territory of the being Yerevansky and Nakhchivan Khanates formed the Armenian area. Became the center of the Armenian area. Since 1849 the Yerevansky province. The 15th article of the Turkmenchesky peace treaty allowed within a year to Armenians, citizens of Persia, to pass for Araks, new border of the Russian Empire. Residents of settlements, adjacent Turkmenchay, Marijinsky, Tabriski Armenians, from Samaskis Khanates, Hoysky, Armysky moved to Transcaucasia. Only in 5 months more than 8,000 Armenian families, most of which settled in the Nakhchivan and Yerevansky regions, passed into borders of Transcaucasia. On the other hand, a part of the Muslim population went to Persia. As a result of leaving of a part of the Muslim population to Persia and, on the contrary, not so considerable resettlement from Persia of Armenians, the total number of the population decreased up to 12,000, thus that the share of Armenians reached 40%. But even after that, until the 20th century, in the city the Muslim majority remained. At the beginning of the 20th century the population of the city made 2 people, of them Azerbaijanians, at the time called Tatars, -49%, Armenians -48%, Russian -2%. In the city there were 8 churches, 6 Armenian and 2 Orthodox Christians, and 7 Shiite mosques. The most ancient of churches, Piat and Pavel, was constructed in the 5th century. Also the bell tower of Katajik 12th church of century was allocated. The Zaravar, 1691-1705. Church was well known that there, according to the legend, the apostle Ananias was buried. From Yerevansky mosques Gusinali of the Khan. The Blue Mosque, 1776. Recently restored by the Iranian masters, remained. According to the Caucasian calendar, for 1874, municipal economy, as well as in other cities of Transcaucasia, the local police station managed. The shop device similar to the Georgian Mkarstvo existed between dealers and handicraftsmen from Despite the status of the provincial city, Yerevan kept a view of poor provincial and east city, with 1-2-storied mud houses, narrow curved streets. The palace of Serdar and fortress lay in ruins. From production, there were only cognac and brick plants and several small factories.
In 1902 through Yerevan there passed the first railway line which connected her to Alexandropol and Tiflis. In 1908 the second line connected him to Julfo in Persia that contributed to her economic development.
In 1912 turnover of the industry made 847.7 thousand rubles, from them 609,000 rubles were the share of winemaking.
In the city there were a gymnasium, the female gymnasium of St. Ripsime and Teachers' Seminary.
Buildings of State Chamber were of architectural value.
1901. 5.
Mirzoyan.
Teachers' Seminary. 1905. 5.
Mirzoyan.
And Men's Gymnasium.
1916.
A. Vasilyev 5. Mirzoyan 5.
Simonson. In 1887 nurses Tyrians in the territory of the former Yerevansky fortress founded the distilling enterprise which in 1898 passed to Nikolai Shustov. Nowadays Yerevan cognac plant. At the imperial power the Armenian provinces remained undeveloped in comparison with financial, cultural and political life in Tiflis.
Yerevan in 1914 represented sleepy East City with the 30,000 population, in comparison with 300,000 Tiflis and industrial Baku.
After the beginning of World War I the first tram line was started up.
In May 1918 Yerevan becomes the capital of the Republic of Armenia.
At the beginning of December 1920 Yerevan was occupied with the Red Army. On February 18, 1921 as a result of a national revolt the Soviet power was overthrown. However, after the accession of Russia to Yerevan on April 2 the same year was restored and existed 70 more years.
At the Soviet power the large-scale reconstruction of Yerevan which is carried out since 1924 on the project of A.O. Tamanian who developed special national style with use of elements of traditional church architecture and a tufa-esque construction material begins. During this reconstruction, the city completely changed the look.
Almost all earlier built buildings were destroyed. Among them, the fortress whose stone went for facing of the embankment, Sardar's palace, almost all churches and mosques. New streets were laid, Yerevan was electrified, or carried out plumbing and sanitary. Forest plantations on neighboring hills finished the dust storms which were old Yerevani scourge. The architectural center of ensemble of New Yerevan was Lenin Square. Nowadays, the Republics. On the square, two government houses. 1926-1941 architects A. Tamanian and G. A. Tamanian, 1955 architects S. A.
Safarian 5.
A. Arab Shakin and R.S. Israelian. The National History Museum of Armenia, Armenia Hotel, building of the Ministry of Communications and Council of Labor Unions are located. Architects all 3M5. Gregorian E. A. Serapian, 1956-1958.
Among the large public buildings defining the image of Yerevan.
Opera and Ballet Theatre of A. Yerevan. 1926-1939 The architect A.O. Tamanian. It is complete in 1953. The central covered market. 1952 The architect G. Itababian the engineer A. Araxlian. A complex of the cognac plant. 1952 The architect O.S. Markarian. Storage of ancient manuscripts Matanadaran. 1959 The architect M5. Gregorian. The Armenian Theatre of Sandukian. 1965 Architects R.B. Alaverdian R.A. Badalian. The Museum of History of the City of Yerevan. 1968 Architects Shens R. Azatian B.A. Arzamanian, the sculptor A. Arut Union. Monuments to David Sasunsky. 1959 The sculptor E. S. Kakar. And to the victims of genocide of Armenians of 1915. 1967 Architects A. Tarkanian S. G. Kalashian. In 1968 the Museum Erebuni, devoted to Erebuni and Taishibani's history, was open. In 1977 in Yerevan, there was the largest robbery in the history of the USSR when the State Bank of the Armenian Soviet Socialist Republic was robbed for 1.5 million Soviet rubles. In 1982 the city was awarded with the Order of Lenin. Since the beginning of 1988 in Yerevan on the square at Opera Theatre, Massachusetts, meetings of the Karabakh movement, which developed into the movement for independence of Armenia, began. Yerevan was the most ancient city in the territory of the former USSR. After disintegration of the Soviet Union, Yerevan became the capital of independent Armenia. Ensuring supply of gas and the electric power was difficult. Constant electric giving was restored only by 1996. Since 2000 the center of Yerevan turned into the huge building site. According to Office for National Statistics, in 2006 about $1.8 billion were spent for such construction. Prices for apartments in the downtown grew approximately 10 times for the first decade of 21 centuries. Many new streets and avenues, such as Argishi Street, Street of Italy, Saralands Avenue, Monte Melkonian Avenue and Severny Avenue were open. However, as a result of this construction boom, the majority of historical buildings is completely destroyed or transformed to modern houses due to construction of additional floors. Some constructions, generally on the site between Abovian Street and Mashtots Avenue, remained. The legislature in the city is carried out by the Yerevan City Council. The head of City Council is the Mayor of Yerevan. The anthem of the city of Yerevan is the Erebuni, Yerevan song. Verses Perura Savaka, Edgar Oganesian's music. Administrative Territorial Division. 12 districts of Yerevan. The city of Yerevan, which is the capital of Armenia, is divided into 12 districts, which, in turn, are divided into quarters.
During the inter-census periods of 1989, 2001 and 2011, the current accounting of the population both for the Republic of Armenia and for Yerevan didn't consider the considerable volume of external migrations. In this connection, the current estimates of population noted growth of the population, whereas according to censuses there was a actual reduction. In this regard, after carrying out population censuses, statistical bodies of Armenia made recalculation of estimates of population during the inter-census period towards reduction in comparison with data of the current accounting of the movement of the population. After the last population census of assessment of population for 2012 and the next years are based only on data of the current accounting of the population, they note the statistical growth of an indicator of population.
Correction of these data will be made only after carrying out another population census of Armenia. Population 1,060,138. Armenians 1,048,940, 98.94%. Russian 4940, 0.47%. Yazidi of 3268, 0.31%. Ukrainians 603, 0.06%. Persians of 468, 0.04%. Greeks of 300, 0.03%. Georgians of 264, 0.02%. Assyrians of 226, 0.02%. Belarusians of 122, 0.01%. Kurds of 93, 0.01%. Other 860, 0.08%. In recent years in Armenia, favorable conditions for tourists are created. A set of objects of tourist infrastructure is constructed, a lot of the most interesting tourist routes are created, and both local travel agencies and world giants of this industry work. Armenia has huge potential in the sphere of tourism, to be exact in spheres of ecotourism, alpine skiing tourism, mountaineering, etc. In the capital of the Republic of Armenia for 2013, about 80 hotels which conform to all international standards are located. In Yerevan, the set of the known hotel chains, such as Marriott International, Golden Tulip, Ramada, Golden Palace, Best Western, Metropole and others are presented. Also in Yerevan, hotels of Hilton Hotels, Hyatt and Kempinski networks are under construction. The Yerevan Cognac Plant. IC. Leading enterprise of Armenia on production of alcoholic beverages. Chemical plant on production of synthetic Nerit rubber. Armanel aluminum plant. Yerevan combined heat and power plant. 550,000 U. Tonakursky and Yerevan stations of the Savona-Razdansky cascade of hydroelectric power station. Yerevan Gs-2. In Yerevan, supermarket chains, SAS, Yerevan City, Vaz, Best and others work. Household appliances are on sale in shops Samsung, Istor, AG, Array, Zigzag and similar. The local office of the Microsoft company works. Nasdaq owns Armenia. Till January 27, 2009, the Armenian Stock Exchange was called. Is the only stock exchange operating in Armenia. It was founded in February 2001. Yerevan, the largest transport hub of Armenia. In the city, a number of important automobile and Zheleferovny highways meet. See the card. In the city there are 2 international airports and also a number of stations of the railroad. From the capital, buses and minibuses daily go to all corners of Armenia and also in the roadie cities of Artsakh. International Airport Zvartnots, Yata, Fika, Udiz, is located in 12 km to the west from Yerevan, has a transit zone. Works round the clock. I am capable to accept any types of aircrafts. For the last 7 years in the territory of the airport, new modern terminals are built. At the moment, Zvartnots can serve up to 3.5 million passengers a year. The Yerevan Airport, the mixed civil and military airport. It is located in 7.3 km to the south from the center of Yerevan. Now the airport is generally used by the Russian military. At the same time, the airport is used by also private enterprises which are carrying out charter helicopter flights as within the country, and to the CIS countries and also in the Stepanakert airport. In Yerevan there is the central railway station of Armenia, the Yerevan station. Nearby there is a station of the subway, Sasanki David. Also the territory of the station is a large transport uzel where minibuses, buses, also long distance, and trolleybuses meet. Distant passenger traffic is presented by 2 international trains.
Winter Yerevan, Tbilisi and summer Yerevan, Batumi.
The fast train Armenia No. 372/371 Yerevan, Tbilisi plies in the winter. Departures from Yerevan on odd days, from Tbilisi on even. The fast train No. 202/201 Yerevan, Batumi plies in summertime. From June to September according to the schedule of train No. 372/371. Inter-Republican railway communication connects Yerevan with Armavir, Araks, Gyumri, Ararat, Irask, Hrazdan. Only 8 couples, from which 3 suburban, 2 local and 3 accelerated. In the summer the seasonal route on Shogakat on 7 is started. Also in Yerevan there are railway stations in Kanakar, in Noragavita, near Furniture Factory, Almost, etc. In Yerevan there are 3 bus stations. Cilicia, Central, Northern Bus Station and bus station behind the railway station, Yerevan. 7th Street. From bus stations, buses and minibuses daily go to all corners of the country and also in the roadie cities of Artsakh. The Yerevan subway was opened on March 7, 1981 and consists of 1 line and 1 at Vetelna. There are 10 stations. The piece, Friendship, became the first operating piece of the subway, with an automated workplace. Bar commuting. David Sasansky, with an automated workplace. Sazans David. Length of the subway is 13.4 km. In a year the passenger traffic makes 19.9 million passengers. The line is served by the only electrodepot Chich-1 Shengavit. On the line are used 1 carriage. Only on and at Vetelna. 2 carriage, and since 2017, also 3 carriage structures from 81, 717 M cars. Since October 1, 2020, all structures of Type 81, 717, 714, are discharged of operation. Fare is 100 dramas. The subway connects a northwest part of the city through the center to the southern part of the city. The subway in Yerevan works from 7 o'clock till 23 o'clock. The city authorities dig up resources for a construction of 2 more stations after the Barkamutin station.
Construction of the second line of the Yerevan subway in the Zvartnots airport and also the third line to automobile plant is in the long-term plan.
Here in Yerevan, the first trolleybus route was opened for B. The first trolleybus park was opened for it in 1957. The trolleybus quickly developed in Yerevan, with construction of new inhabited massifs there at once laid the trolleybus line. By the end of 2006 in Yerevan there were a little more than 50 trolleybus cars. Within Soviet period the maximum number of trolleybus lines reached 25, then today remained only 5, on which release can reach from 1 and up to 14 trolleybuses. There are 2 trolleybus depots, Shengavit and Holznork. In 2005-2006 in the center of Yerevan the stopping indexes made on the European sample were established. In 2005 and in May 2006 to Yerevan came 10 Renault trolleybuses presented by the authorities of the French city of Lyon.
And in 2007 and 2008 36 new trolleybuses of the brand Liaz-5280 of 2007 and 2008 of release were bought.
Thus, the park of trolleybuses in Yerevan was updated for 60%. Skoda 14-tar trolleybuses, Skoda's 14-tar/ARM, Berlietta and Liaz-5280 are at the moment used.
Yerevan along with the city of Sukhum is one of 2 cities of Transcaucasia where the trolleybus movement remained.
List of routes. Garage in Nod Square Metro Station. Ashasayan Street, Museum Arabuni. Zilmasavewan Circus. Barkamutin Metro Station, Holznork 5, 6 massifs. Zvorgachosh Square, the Arabuni Airport. Yerevan was the only city of Armenia wherever there was a tram. On September 29, 1906 the Yerevansky City Horse and Railroad of the businessman Mirzoyan was open. This type of the narrow-gauge horse tram existed till August 1918 when owing to war the tram was destroyed. Since 1932 the tram on a broad gauge was launched by Electrodrift. The number of tram cars on average increased each 5 years by 25%, and if in 1933 it made 16, then in 1945 already 77 cars, and in 1965, 222 units of the rolling stock. 2 types of trams -71, 605 and REs-M were used. Because costs of the tram were 4 times higher in comparison with buses, and also in connection with expensive electric power and problems which were created by the tram during passing of Kievsky Bridge in Yerevan, on January 21, 2004 the movement of trams in Yerevan was officially closed. The most part of ways is sorted, trams are cut on scrap metal, the tram depot is used by various private enterprises, and the substation serves trolleybuses. The cableway connected the Norsky Plateau to the downtown. It allowed to reduce more than by 5 times in comparison with the car time of a way to the plateau. On the cableway 2 stations, one on a joint of streets of Nalbandian and Sharents, another on the Norsky Plateau were arranged. Distance between stations of 540 meters at a difference of heights minus 109 meters. The trolley passed this distance in 2.5 minutes. On the cableway in Yerevan on March 2, 2004 from Big Height, the car in which there were 8 people collapsed. As a result of the tragedy, 3 persons died, 5 are wounded. According to the experts working at the place of accident, the version of an overload of the car calculated on 12 passengers is excluded. After the incident, the cableway was closed and partially dismantled.
The National Academy of Sciences of the Republic of Armenia, NANAR. The highest scientific organization which will organize, carries out and coordinates basic and applied researches in various fields of science in the territory of the Republic of Armenia. The Academy unites and structures the research institutes equated to them institutions and body of board, the Presidium of National Academy of Sciences, including more than 50 scientific and other institutions.
The Presidium of Academy and the most part of her divisions are in Yerevan. Astronomical researches are conducted in Buryansky Astrophysical Observatory. The Yerevan Research Institute of Automated Control Systems. One of the leading scientific research institutes of the Soviet period in the field of design of the computer and apps.
Institute of Mathematics of National Academy of Sciences of Armenia. The Office of Mathematics and Mechanics was opened and again formed Armenian Academy of Sciences in 1944.
The late office was transformed to Institute of Mathematics and Mechanics of the Armenian Academy of Sciences. The mathematician Artashes Shakinian, famous for the researches in the field of the complex analysis, became the first director of institute. Yerevan Physical Institute.
It was founded in 1942 by brothers academicians Abram and Artyom Alekyanami. Scientific and Technological Center of Organic and Pharmaceutical Chemistry of NANAR.
Institute of Ancient Manuscripts Matanadaran. Institute of the Caucasus. Yerevan School of Figure Skating and Hockey. Main building of National Agricultural University of Armenia. Main building of the Yerevan State Medical University. National Agricultural University of Armenia. State Engineering University of Armenia. Yerevan State Conservatory of Cometiz. Yerevan State Art Academy. Yerevan State Institute of Theatre and Cinema. Yerevan State Linguistic University of 5. Ya. Brusov. Yerevan State Medical University of Makatar-Jaratsi. Armenian State Pedagogical University of Kokatar-Abovyan. Yerevan State University. Yerevan State University of Architecture and Construction. Armenian State Economic University. Yerevan University, Abasek. Yerevan University of Management. Russian State University of Tourism and Service. F.
Russian Armenian.
Slavic University. Armenian State Institute of Physical Culture. Armenian Medical Institute. International University, Eurasia. Yerevan is the capital and the center of gravity of the Armenian diaspora. Thanks to diaspora influence of Yerevan extends far away from Armenia. The diaspora also plays one of the major roles in capital lives. For example, financing of construction of Severny Avenue was undertaken by several Armenian businessmen from abroad. The Svartnotsa airport is owned by the Argentina businessman, Armenian Eduardo Ernakin. Armenians from diaspora own a set of apartments, shopping facilities, restaurants, productions and the enterprises of Yerevan. Religion. Ruins of the Temple of God Susi. 8th century BB in Erebuni. Cathedral Teani, on the northern outskirts of Yerevan. The 6th century. The remain part of Church of Katajik, Serbastvatsan. Street. Virgin. The 12th century. Before reconstruction. The temple watching sill is at entry into Yerevan from west side. The 7th century. Serbakop Church. 1679. In the religious relation, the most part of the population, the Christians belonging to the Armenian Apostolic Church. Also there are followers of other Christian faiths and also an Yazidism. Among Yazidi, Islam and Judaism. Cult constructions of Yerevan. Pagan temples. Temple of God Susi. The 8th century BB. Temple of God Haldi. The 8th century BB. Temple of Fire. 6-5 BB. Armenian Apostolic Church. Pogos Petros. The 5-6 centuries. Avon's Temple. 6th century. Cathedral Teani. 6th century. Serbovans. The 7-13 centuries. Serbastvatsan. The 7-13 centuries. Serbovans Murtic. The 7th century - 1710. Serbzorovar. The 10th century - 1793. Serbgeverk. 11th century. Serb. Akop. 11th century. Serb Katajik. 12th century. Serbgeverk Noragavit. The 12-17 centuries. Hach Chengavit. 14th century. Serb Marinos. 15th century. Serbastvatsan Kanakar. The 15-17 centuries. Serbakop Kanakar. 1504-1680. Serb Sarkis. 1691. Serb Krieger Lusavorek. 1869. Serbastvatsan Malatia. 1995. Serb Sarkis. 1998. Cathedral of St. Gregory the Enlightener. Street. Trinity. 2004. Russian Orthodox Church. Church of the Intercession of the Most Holy Mother of God. 1913. St. Nicholas Cathedral. 19th century. Pokrovsk Temple. 1830. Armenian Protestant Church. Yerevan Evangelic Church. Armenian Catholic Church, St. Anne's Church, Jehovah's Witnesses, Hall of the Kingdom of Jehovah's Witnesses, Jewish Synagogue, Synagogue Mordecai Navi, Yazidi Temples, New Lalish, Muslim Mosques, Hansky Mosque, 19th century, Blue Mosque, 1764-1768. The Temple of the Sun in Garni, southeast outskirts of Yerevan, the 1st century BB. Ruins of Humazam Church on the southern outskirts of Yerevan, 4th century. Pogos Petros Church, central part of the city, the 5th century. Cathedral Teani, on the northern outskirts of Yerevan, the 6th century. The temple watching sill is at entry into Yerevan from west side, the 7th century. In 1970 there were 37 medical institutions on 7.5 thousand beds, 9.5 beds on 1,000 inhabitants. 90 medical outpatient and polyclinic institutions, including polyclinic offices of hospitals and clinics. 4.9 thousand doctors of all specialties, 1 doctor for 162 inhabitants. 7.3 thousand faces of average medical personnel worked. 2 sanatoria and 1 tourist base. The Institute of Improvement of Doctors and 8 medical research institutes functions. Now in Yerevan such hospitals work. Institute of Surgery of Michaelian, Republican Medical Center, Armenia, Republican Hospital, Medical Center, Arabuni, Medical Arabkar Complex, Armenian American Center of Health, Mammography Center, Eye Center of Malayan, Maternity Hospitals, Center of Health Protection of Mother and Child, Center of Obstetrics, Gynecology and Perinatology, Medical Center, Shengavit, Serbest-Vatsame Maternity Hospital. In Yerevan 2/3 resources of a healthcare system of the Republic of Armenia are concentrated. There are almost all highly specialized medical institutions of 3 levels.
According to the relevant resolutions adopted by the government of Armenia in 2001-2003, public health institutions were reorganized, therefore their number was reduced.
In Yerevan medical institutions, the closed joint stock companies, KISK, and the type of the real estate is various. There are state companies which founders are the Ministries of Health, Science and Education and the Mayor's Office of Yerevan, but there are also private companies. Diversified medical institutions work in the capital. Incomplete list of the Yerevan medical institutions and closed joint stock company. Fast medical help. Medical Center Krieger Narkotsi. Mints Kanaker Zeton. Mints Serbest-Vatsame. Scientific Research Institute Cardiology. Medical Center Nork Marash. Polyclinics there is a lot of.
Antitubercular Clinic,
Polyclinic of Noragovit, City Endocrine Clinic, JTs of Holes Arabkar,
Medical Unit No.
4. In Yerevan all drugstores and dental polyclinics are non-state institutions. Arabla, the military cemetery located in suburbs of Yerevan. In Arabla, heroes of Armenia are buried, and since 1988 the Armenian heroes of the Karabakh War are based here. Pantheon of Comitas, the cemetery in Yerevan serving for burial of eminent persons of the Armenian science and culture. Cemetery Norkmarash. Charbaksky Cemetery. Zatunsky Cemetery. Konakursky Cemetery. Central. Taknaksai Cemetery. Culture, art, leisure. Weekly on a Vykodnim, the opening day. A fair of handworks. Works of local masters are exposed and on sale. Since 2004 in Yerevan there takes place the annual International Film Festival, called Apricot. In 2010 in Yerevan played the 6 Open Youth Delphic Games of the state parties of the CISIS. In 2012, in honor of the 500th anniversary of the Armenian publishing, UNESCO I proclaimed Yerevan the world capital of the book. Yerevan is a participant of the International Association of Mayors of the Francophone Cities Free. Opera and Ballet Theatre. The Armenian Theatre of Sandukin, the drama theatre in Yerevan founded in 1921. Armenian Theatre of the Musical Comedy. Armenian Academic Opera and Ballet Theatre of A. Spendiarav. Yerevan Theatre for Young Audience. Armenian Puppet Theatre. Drama Theatre of Kaplanian. Yerevan State Theatre of Puppets. The Yerevan Russian Drama Theatre of Konstantin Stanislavsky, the drama theatre in Yerevan founded in 1937. Comedy Theatre and Dramas of Edgar Ilbakin. Armenian Theatre Amazgain. Natanadaran, the Museum Institute of Ancient Manuscripts. Institute of Ancient Manuscripts Matanadaran of a name of street. Nesrok Mashtats, the research center located in Yerevan at the government of the Republic of Armenia. It is one of the largest storages of manuscripts in the world, including Drevnomyansky. The Museum Institute of Genocide of Armenians, engaged in scientific research and museum display of materials about genocide. The Museum Arabuni. One of the historical museums of the city of Yerevan located on Hill Ehrenberg. In the museum the exhibit spawned at excavation of fortress of Arabuni in 1950-1959 and the neighboring city of Tashabani which passed on Hill Kamubler in 1939-1958 are collected. The museum was opened in 1968 to the 2750th anniversary of foundation of the city of Arabuni. National Art Gallery of Armenia, one of the largest museums of the country. It is founded in 1921. National History Museum of Armenia. Earlier the State Historical Museum of Armenia. The main historical museum of Armenia. It is founded in 1921. It is located on the area of the Republic. Museum of History of Yerevan. Museum of the Modern Arts. Children's Art Gallery. Sergei Paradzanov's House Museum. Ervin Kocher's House Museum. Martyros Serian's House Museum. Alexander Spendiarov's House Museum. Alexander Tumanyan's Museum. Hovhannes Tumanyan's House Museum. Avetikaya Sakin's House Museum. Ejish Sharon's House Museum. Museum of Wooden Architecture. Museum of Literature and Art. In the central part of the city, the Neri Movie Theatre. The oldest movie theatre of Yerevan is opened in 1920. And Moscow Movie Theatre are located. In Yerevan, many various night institutions, bars, restaurants, clubs where various musical directions are presented are located. Yerevan is especially known for the jazz groups which often introduce the Armenian melodies acting in a format ethno-jazz. Sport. Punic, the owner of the Cup of Armenia 2009. Mika Stadium. List of football clubs of Yerevan. Ararat of Kosaki Marzik of 1935. Banance Republican 1992. Punic Republican 1996. Ulysses Razdan 2000. The First League A season of 2011. Ararat -2 of Neri of 1990. Banance -2 Banance of 2002. Punic -2 Neri of 2001. Punic -3 Neri of 2002. Shengavit Vardanenk -451 of 2008. In Yerevan, the ice arena where demonstration performances and regional tournaments are held works. In 2011, the new bicycle track, which is built up instead of earlier taken down, is put in operation. Several swimming pools outdoor for general public, including the Olympic sizes in summer, under open air work.
Monuments of architecture inside of Yerevan are concentrated in the downtown, the area which is originally developed and built on the project of the outstanding Armenian architect Alexander Tamanian in the first half of the 20th century.
Since then in the city the set of buildings appeared and disappeared, however planning and the general architectural appearance, in general, are remained. The most widespread construction material is the pink tufa, thanks to what Yerevan received the name of the Pink City. The center of an architectural complex of the city is the area of the Republic. 1924-1958. The form of the area is formed by 5 buildings. The building of National History Museum of Armenia, the building of the Government of Armenia with the main hours of the country on a tower, the central building of the Ramel, Marriott Armenia Hotel, the building of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Power. The building of the Museum of History of Armenia is faced by the legendary singing fountains, at the same time changing the color. From the north the area is adjoined through a Bohian street by the built recently pedestrian Severny Avenue connecting it to the territory of Opera Theatre. Around theatre numerous squares and monuments and also a decorative reservoir, the Swan Lake, are located. To the north from the area there is the second largest square of Yerevan, the area of France. From the area of the Republic and Opera Theatre the largest streets of Yerevan conducting to all his other areas extensively disperse. On the southwest from the Opera conducts Mesrop Mashtats Avenue resting the top southern end against Matanadaran. The boulevard with the complex from 2750 fountainlets opened an anniversary of the 2750 anniversary of Yerevan in 1968 begins with the southern edge of an oval of the area of the Republic. Connecting to Mashtats Avenue near the City Hall of Yerevan, the boulevard comes to Aktanak, Hobody, Bridge with a great view of gorges of the Hrazdan River and its monuments. Serb Sarkis Church, Hrazdan Stadium, the Yerevan Cognac plant, the Yerevan winery, and also on the usual houses hanging over the gorge. The bridge connects the center of Yerevan to the area Malati Sebastia and further, the Zvartnots airport and Vagashapat.
A southeast part of an oval of the area of the Republic is adjoined by Tigran Veliki Avenue connecting the center to the southern areas Erebuni and Nubarashan.
Within the downtown on this avenue the new and largest church of Yerevan, the Cathedral of St. Gregory the Enlightener, beyond his limits, an architectural complex of the Yerevan station with the well-known monument to David Sasunsky is located. Marshal Bagramian Avenue connecting the downtown to the areas of Arabkar and Davtashan and, through Kievan Street and Bolshoi Razdansky Bridge, with the region of Achapniak rises by the northeast of Opera Theatre.
It is the green street in which lower half there are numerous office buildings, including the building of the Constitutional Court, National Assembly,
Parliament, the residence of the President of Armenia, various embassies, and also the American University of Armenia. At last, departing on the northeast of Respublika Abovyan Street Square, connecting the center to the western and northwest districts of the city. The road to Victory Park and a monument conducts Mother Armenia with this direction on the abrupt serpentine. The relief of Yerevan represents an amphitheater at which bottom the central part of the city was stretched. Many central streets rest against significant buildings or objects. Natanadaran and a monument Mother Armenia. Mashtots Avenue. Tumanians. Tumanian Street. House Museum, House of Composers. Pushkin Street. The Television Tower. Sayat Nova Avenue. That gives to the image of each street completeness and uniqueness. The downtown borders with a double semicircle the ring boulevard formed by streets Ariana Moscovian, Hansyana, Isaikyana and Manukyana, finally fixing an image of an amphitheater.
The architectural appearance of Yerevan generalizes the monumental cascade stretched on a northern slope of an amphitheater, serving as the huge many-tier observation deck with which the most beautiful view of the city against the background of Mount Ararat opens. At the beginning of the 20th century in Yerevan was 10.
According to Brockhaus and Efron's Encyclopedic Dictionary. Indescribable. According to the Encyclopedia Iranica. Churches of and 7 Shiite mosques. In 1906, 1911 in Yerevan, according to the list of state and public buildings made by the Yerevan technician B. Yao Negrabov, there were 8 mosques. The Mosque Tepabashinskaya, the Mosque Shagarskaya, the Mosque Sartab, the Gay Gaig Uzin Ali Khan Mosque, the Blue Mosque, Pious Mosque Nuruz Ali Bek, the Mosque Surf, the Mosque Demirbulikskaya and Gaya Jafar's Mosque. In the early 30s several churches and mosques were destroyed. On the place of the demolished churches, movie theaters and schools were under construction.
In particular, in 1931 the most ancient church of Yerevan was destroyed, Hyde and Pavel.
5th century. On her place the Moscow movie theater was constructed. By miracle I avoided destructions and the bell tower of the 12th century. For mosques only Blue Mosque. 1776. Restored by the Iranian masters remain today. In 1990, the small Azerbaijani mosque on Vardanat Street was demolished. From rather modern buildings, it is possible to carry the House of Youth sorted in 2006 to the disappeared monuments. After construction, the architecture of this building was criticized by many. However, for years of existence, it managed to become one of the most recognizable objects of Yerevan. Also during the modern period, the central covered market, which had the status of a monument of architecture, was reconstructed in supermarket. Memorial complexes, monuments and known sculptures. Monument of memory of the victims of genocide of Armenians. The most known memorial complexes and monuments. Sitsonakaburt, a memorial complex of memory of the victims of genocide of Armenians of 1915. Monument Mother Armenia in Victory Park. Monument to Vardan Mamikonian. Monument to A. Tigranian. Monument to the chess player Tigran Petrosyan. Monument to Alexander Myasnikin. Monument to Stepan Shamian. Monument to Mesrop Mashtatsu. Monument to the poet A.S. Priboydov. Monument to Leonid Egenberian. Monument to Ashok Sayatnova. Monument to the poet Ejis Sharentsu. Monument to the composer Komitas. Monument to the composer Alexander Spendiarian. Monument to the writer Hovhannes Tumanian. Monument to the architect Tumanian. Monument to the writer Vontariana. Monument to the commander Andranik. Monument to the writer Abovian. Monument to the composer Aram Kakachurian. Monument to the artist Ivan Avazovsky. Monument to the composer Erno Babajanian. Monument to the Marshal Bagramian. Monument to the hero of the epos David Sasunsky. Monument to the writer of Etikai Saikin. Monument to the writer Michaela Nalbandiana. Monument to the artist Martyros Sarian. Monument to Spandarian. Monument to the Tsar Argishi. Monument to the writer William Saroyan. Monument to the Karabakh woman. Besides on squares and in parks of the city, a set of sculptures, including works by widely famous sculptors Rodin and Botero, and also local, such as Invitation to a Backgammon, characters of the Armenian movie, Men, Movie, Caucasian Captive, etc., are exposed. Sports and Concert Complex. Botanical Garden. Zoo. The Yerevan Television Tower, a construction 311.7 m high in Yerevan, the capital of Armenia. Tower basis form, triangular, weight -1900 tons. Construction of a tower continued from 1974 to 1977. It had to replace an old 180-meter television tower, having increased twice reception power. Being the highest building in the city, the tower is one of the highest in the world. The basis of a tower is at the height about 1170 meters above sea level. Transmitters of a tower cover a considerable part of the Ararat Plain. The most partners of the broadcast TV channels of Armenia Primayutsia in Yerevan. Besides, there are a lot of channels well by means of cable television. Armenia TV, one of the most popular TV channels in Armenia. Broadcasts also to the USA under the name UsArmenia, and Europe under the name UArmenia. Shant. Popular TV channel. To Yerevan broadcast since 2001, before I broadcast only on the city of Gyumri and the Shirak region. Erkir Media. Yerevan. At Shakakat Christian TV channel. Kentron. KIF21 Music TV channel. Sometimes transmissions of Muz TV are on air broadcast. Arm News Information TV channel. Sometimes transmissions of Euronews are on air broadcast. On October 10, a city day of Yerevan. Carries such name since 2005. In October 2018, the offer to legislatively fix it on the second revival of October arrived. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.